In a powerful judgment with far-reaching consequences for criminal investigations across India, the Supreme Court has acquitted a death row convict in a 2021 double murder and rape case, citing serious lapses in the handling of DNA evidence. The court also issued binding guidelines for all states to ensure proper collection, preservation and processing of biological materials in criminal cases. In this case, Kattavilai or Devakar had been convicted for rape and murder of a woman and the murder of her husband in Tamil Nadu. Both the trial court and the High Court had sentenced him to death based mainly on DNA evidence that allegedly linked him to the crime scene. But when the case reached the Supreme Court, a bench of Justices Vikram Nath, Sanjay Karol and Sandeep Mehta found that the entire investigation had been compromised by serious procedural flaws, especially in how the DNA samples were collected, stored and processed. The court noted there was no proper chain of custody register, unexplained delays in sending samples to the forensic lab, and no clarity on how the samples were stored, leaving open the possibility of tampering or contamination. The bench observed that a common thread that could be seen to be running through the entire process was that of faulty investigation. As a result, the conviction was overturned and the accused was acquitted. Further, Justice Sanjay Karol, writing the judgment, laid down clear, binding guidelines on how DNA evidence must be handled moving forward. These include that there should be proper documentation during DNA collection, including FIR number, name of the investigating officer, date and designation of the medical professional present. DNA evidence must reach the forensic lab within 48 hours of collection. If not, a valid reason must be recorded in the case diary. DNA evidence packages cannot be reopened or resealed without permission from the trial court. And that a chain of custody register must be maintained right from collection to the final disposal of the case. The court also ordered the DGPs of all states to circulate sample forms and instructions to police stations and directed police academies to train officers on these new protocols. In so many cases, we see that the accused ends up spending years in jail, waiting for the case to be decided. And by the time the person is acquitted, a large part of their life has already been lost behind bars. You might have often wondered, does anyone get compensated for all the time spent in prison, especially if the person is later found innocent? Well, while delivering this important judgment, the bench said that India, unlike countries like the United States, has no proper legal mechanism to compensate people who are wrongfully jailed even for decades. The court called the issue deeply connected to Article 21 of the Constitution, that is the right to life and personal liberty, and said that long-term wrongful incarceration amounts to a serious constitutional violation. The court clarified that it cannot frame laws. That's for the parliament to decide, but emphasized the urgent need to address this gap in the justice system. As you can see in this case, it was not a technical acquittal. It was a clean acquittal, meaning the man was entirely innocent. The police's poor investigation and lack of safeguards in handling DNA samples led to his wrongful conviction. The court has also pointed out that Law Commission's 277th report touched upon compensation for malicious prosecution, but did not fully address the broader issues of wrongful incarceration, and that the right to compensation must be recognized, especially in clear cases where someone is declared innocent after prolonged imprisonment. Well, do tell us about your views on this in the comment box.